Hello, lovely viewers. I'm Candace from Candace.art, and I'm thrilled to have you here today for an exciting dive into the world of crochet symbols and shorthand notation. In this video, we'll explore the key elements, including symbols and abbreviations for the core stitches: chain, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. We'll also unravel the mystery of determining the correct height for starting a new row and cap it off by demystifying how to read a crochet diagram. So grab your hooks and yarn because we're about to embark on a crochet adventure together. Crochet symbols are a visual roadmap for the stitch pattern you will be following for your crochet project. Anytime you're working on a pattern, you're going to see one of two, possibly both, notations for how to construct the pattern. The first one would be your abbreviations. So you could see completely written English into crochet language in order to construct your crochet pattern. And the crochet instructions are just abbreviations of the full name of the crochet stitch. So for chain, you'll see CH as the common notation. For single crochet, you're going to see an SC. Half double crochet is your HDC, and your double crochet is going to be shorthanded with ADC. The symbols themselves are designed specifically to look a little bit like the crochet stitch itself. So the symbol for a chain is, no surprise, going to be an open circle because that's pretty much what a chain looks like. Your single crochet, there's two different variations. You might see a cross or you might see a T shape. Your half double crochet is a taller T with no lines in the middle of it. And then your double crochet is an even taller T to signify the height of the stitch itself. And then you'll see a slash, a tiny little slash along the vertical bar, signifying that cross that you do for the second yarn over. Every time you start a new row in crochet, you want to start with at least one chain, possibly more, depending on what stitch you are working with, in order to reach to the next height. So basically, you'll work a row and then you'll chain one or more stitches. That'll get you to the top of the stitch that you are going to create for the new row. And then you'll stitch into the row below. So a general rule, it's not true for every single pattern out there, but for the most part, you're going to see that a single crochet is going to line up with exactly one chain. So anytime you start a new row of single crochets, you're going to create a chain of one, and then you'll start with your single crochet. Anytime you create a half double crochet, you are going to create a chain of two, and then you'll make your first half double crochet. And anytime you want to make a double crochet, you'll start with a chain of three, and then you'll create your double crochet. A good thing to notice is that you could easily change these up. Now, if you want to test it out, create a chain of two and make a double crochet. You might say, hey, Candace, I see I have enough room to fit a double crochet with only two chains. Why don't I just do that instead? Your work will look perfectly fine. It's going to look beautiful. The reason I recommend a chain of three rather than two is that it gives a full length of height so that your first stitch doesn't look a little bit smushed. It just gives them a little bit of extra space and makes sure that there is enough space for the remainder of the row. Crochet diagrams are a visual representation of how you are going to work your pattern. They lay all of the stitches out in a visual format so that you can follow the picture and understand what you need to do to finish through the pattern. In the remainder of the video, we are going to work through the granny stripe stitch, and I'll walk you through the diagram step by step. Reading a crochet diagram does not follow the same flow as when you're reading a book. When you read a book, you're normally reading from left to right, top to bottom. With crochet diagrams, you are reading the diagram in the same way that you would follow your work. So if you are creating a square piece of crochet, you're going to start at the bottom left. You're going to work your first row over to be to the right side, and then you're going to go up. You're going to work back over to the left. You're going to go up and then back over to the right. So you've got the zigzag pattern row by row going one row over, up, and then over, up, and back over. And so we will follow the diagram in the same exact flow. Just a quick reminder, this tutorial is all about diving into the art of reading crochet diagrams. So kick back, relax, and save the hands-on hooking for another time. If the granny stripe stitch has caught your creative eye, head on over to cans.art. There you'll find a detailed tutorial waiting for you in my stitch dictionary. When you are working crochet in rows, you are always going to start with a chain. And for any stitch pattern itself, you're going to start with a multiple, and then there will be an additional added number at the end. So I've outlined the stitch multiple here. For the granny stripe stitch, we want a multiple of 6 and add 2. So the example we are using, it's going to start with a chain that is a multiple of 6, and then we'll add 2 to that. We're going to use an example that is 20 chains long. When you work your starting chain, you are working from left to right. So when we work row 1, the first thing that we need to do is create a starting chain for the row, and that is going to count as your first stitch of the row in this case. That's a chain 3 that's going to count as a double crochet. And from here on out, we are going to read the diagram from right and work our way left to get back to what should be the tail of your work at this point. So we'll start with that chain 3, that'll count as a double crochet. And then the next thing to do is create a double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So your first actual double crochet, your first stitch of the row, is going to be placed into the 5th chain from the hook. You'll create a double crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then you're going to skip 3 stitches, and you're going to create 3 chains above those stitches. And then that's the pattern. You'll do 3 double crochets, 3 chains, with 3 of the chains of the row below being skipped. And those are the 6 stitches that are going to repeat through the rest of the row. So you'll work 3 double crochets, 3 chains, all the way until you've reached the other side of your piece. And then you are going to create 1 double crochet in the very last stitch to add structure to your piece. After you complete your first row, we'll flip our work and begin row 2. So now we'll start similar to what we did on row 1. You'll start with a chain of 3. That's going to count as a stitch, and that'll get you to the correct height for the rest of the row. And then you'll follow the pattern repeat through row 2. The pattern repeat, you're going to start with a double crochet in the chain 3 space of the row below, and then you're going to create 2 more double crochets. So total, you'll end up with 3 double crochets in the chain 3 space of the row below. Next, you are going to create a chain of 3, and that will line up with the 3 double crochets of the row below. So you will not stitch in any of the double crochets in the row below. And then you'll repeat that pattern until you've gotten to the other side. So we'll repeat with 3 double crochets in the next chain 3 space, followed by 3 chains above the double crochets of the space below. When you get to the other side, you're going to create a double crochet in the very last space of the row to add structure to your piece. The granny stripe stitch is a 2-row pattern repeat. So once you've completed 2 rows of the granny stripe, you are just going to continue following the same pattern for those 2 rows until you've reached your desired height. That said, row 3 is going to match the same structure as row 1. So we will start with the diagram on the right-hand side, and then we are going to read the diagram from right to left. We'll start with that chain 3 that's going to count as a double crochet, and then you're going to create 3 double crochets in the chain 3 space, followed by 3 chains above the 3 double crochets of the row below. You won't stitch into any of those 3 double crochets, and then you'll continue on to get to the other side. In general, when you are working an odd row and you are reading a diagram, that odd row is going to read from right to left. Conversely, when you start on even rows, you are going to read your diagrams from left and work your way right. So for row 4, you are going to match the same stitch pattern as you did for row 2, and you're going to read the diagram starting on your left. So you'll start with a chain 3, that's going to count as a double crochet, and then you're going to start the pattern repeat. You'll start with 3 double crochets above the chain 3 space of the row below, and then you're going to follow that up with 3 chains. And those 3 chains mean you're going to skip the 3 double crochets below, and those 3 chains will be right above that row. And then you'll repeat that pattern all the way till you get to the other side. When you get to the other side, you're going to finish the row with a double crochet. When you're looking at a crochet diagram, if you're trying to remember if odd goes left to right or even goes left to right and you can't quite figure it out, I totally get it. I am terrible at memorizing things too. Another way to think about it is just look at your diagram and whatever row you're on, look at where the starting chain is for that row. If your starting chain is on the right, well, that means you're going to read that row in the diagram from right to left. And if your starting chain is on the left side, that means you're going to read that row in the diagram from left and work your way right. In this video, we delved into the intricate world of crochet symbols and shorthand notation. I guided you through understanding the symbols for core stitches, explored the importance of stitch height when starting a new row, and demystified the art of reading crochet diagrams. For more crochet patterns broken down row by row, head over to cans.art. Happy hooking, and may your stitches be a tapestry of joy. Thank you for exploring crochet diagrams with me. I encourage you to dive into my tutorial on the granny stripe stitch and apply your newfound skills. May your stitches always align perfectly.